Well, hello, and let me know if you can hear me this time. Can you hear me? Can you hear me in the chat? Please tell me you can hear me. Come on, guys. Yes. Okay. Right. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking with me. You can hear me. Okay. I don't know what sorted it out. Because I'm not the most technical of people, okay? I know how to edit videos, but when it comes to all these things, anyways, here we are. I have this microphone, but for some reason it didn't recognize it. So now I'm just using the microphone on my iPhone. So anyways, we're here. You can hear me. Hurrah. Oh, I was swearing my head off. Sorry. Yeah. For the people in the chat. Actually, I think what sorted it out is I had so many tabs open on my browser. So I closed the browser and then restarted it. And I think actually that's what sorted it. I was getting really stressed out, right? I'm so sorry. Just as I'm getting really stressed out, a friend of mine phones and I'm like, why the fuck are you phoning me now? And he's like, well, then why did you answer? And I'm like, because you're phoning. Anyways. Here we are. So, right, the good news, obviously, is, well, there's some good news and some less good news. Okay, so Graeme Linhan was found not guilty of harassment. He was taken to court by this TRA that we affectionately know as Tarquin. Kelly J came up with that once because once at Let Women Speak, he was sort of circling, and Kelly J came out with one of her many classics, and this one was, fuck off, Tarquin. And no one can say it like she can. So, and ever since the name Tarquin's just kind of stuck. And he now goes by Sophia Brooks. And he's only 18. And basically, this whole thing was about something that happened at the Battle of Ideas last year, October or November. So then he would have been 17. So even though he's very young, he's, I want to swear. He's already pretty vile for an 18-year-old. And one thing that he likes to do is, there's a whole history with this guy and Let Women Speak. Somebody's asking, where is Graeme? What did you think he'd be in my room? No, I didn't say it was an interview or a chat with Graeme. I just saw the news pop up on Twitter and I thought, let's jump online and talk about it, because there is so much history with this guy. So he's been coming to Let Women Speak for at least 2 years. The 2022 is the first time that I saw him there. So we'll get into that in a bit. Let's focus on the, as somebody says, Graeme will be in the pub. Yeah, absolutely. And for a well-deserved drink. So we'll get into that history with this bloke a bit later. But basically, last year he went to the Battle of Ideas, and just being an obnoxious, annoying, see you next Tuesday, both inside and outside. And he was waiting for Graeme, and then when Graeme got out of the building, he started, just being really annoying in his face with the camera. And and asking him why Graeme had said certain things about him online, like, why did you call me a domestic terrorist? Why did you call me a domestic terrorist? Blah, 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 like in his face with the camera. And then there was one point where Graeme grabbed the phone and chucked it on the. So that's why Tarquin decided to go to court. And I think that initially they weren't gonna, it wasn't even accepted as a case. I think they were trying to throw it out. But then some other deranged bloke with magical lady feels, Lindsay Watson is the name he goes by, an ex-copper who's completely mad and is stalking people left, right, and center. This is my unclinical, unprofessional opinion of the man. So he'll probably sue me now after this, because he's already been on Twitter a while ago asking people for my address. It's like, ugh. Anyway, these people, they're just they're a little bit tapped. So, you know, it's, as Graeme said today himself outside court, the process is the punishment. They just want to get people in court, go after them, wear them down, get money out of them, and whatever else. We've seen this time and time again. You know, that's what the TRAs do. Somebody said Watson is the bloke who got Glinner arrested at Heathrow. Yeah, he's behind all these things. And you know, apparently Tarquin said, "Oh, I don't know him." But it's when Watson got involved with the police and sent these really dramatic messages. I took some notes of them when I was in, because I actually went to court one day on the Friday. I was in the public gallery, and that's when we heard that Watson had been in touch with the police to press for this case to be heard. And you know, played the card about, oh, violence against trans people and murder and this and that, and oh my God. Anyway, so we did get to court. There were 2 days of hearings in September. So I went to one of them, and then there was an additional day because they ran out of time and they couldn't hear all the witnesses. Oh, Charles says Kelly J is doing a simultaneous live stream. Okay, look, that's no competition. Look, I mean, she's gonna win that hands down. Anyways, it just shows how they just want to silence and intimidate people. Now, I have to say, I don't think it was wise to grab someone's phone and chuck it on the street. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they want us to do. That's why he's in his face, up in his face, trying to annoy him, trying to push people's buttons so that they do something. Because it's not the first time that this Tarquin has gone after people. I think once at Let Women Speak, there was another guy who grabbed his phone, and then he got that guy done for that. That guy had to pay damages or whatever. And obviously then Tarquin and his little troll orc friends are just sitting there going, I mean, it's pathetic. So that's what they want. They want to get a reaction. They want to get a rise out of us. So Peppermint Patty just said, oh, Kelly J is live all the time. It was a rare treat. I do want to go live tomorrow with a much more prepared live stream about the puberty blockers trial. I was going to do that this evening, but then this came up. So there you go. So when I was there on the Friday, I wasn't sure which way it was going to go, because obviously he did grab the phone and chuck it. That wasn't a clever thing to do. In terms of the charge of harassment, I didn't know which way that was going to go, because obviously Graeme is a grown-up man with a massive platform. At the time, he had 500,000 followers on Twitter. Since the case, it went up by at least 100,000. And, you know, he should have been the more mature, grown up, the more measured. But at the same time, this guy, Tarquin, he's got a bit of a history. He's just vile, you know. And also Maria McLachlan, she was outside the Battle of Ideas. When she came out, he was goading her, going up to her with this phone and then taking a picture of her, and then he posted that online and tried to make it sound like she'd been threatening to him, and because it showed her fist in the picture, but that's because she was holding a bag. But he made it sound like, oh, what were you trying to do? Were you trying to punch me? He's just an absolute vile piece of shit, basically. Hello, roly-poly, Roland. Thank you very much for your £4.99. And he says, that goes towards a new mic. It is a new mic, it's got fancy, well, it doesn't show up now. It's got fancy colors when it's connected. So I don't know. I'll try it again tomorrow. But now I'm just using my phone. So at least I know that works. And where was I? So what was interesting about the ruling is that Graeme was cleared of the harassment. Now, Graeme's been posting about this guy for a while and saying some rather unpleasant things, but that's because he's an unpleasant guy. And the judge basically said that this did not meet the threshold for criminal harassment. So, hurrah! Denise Smith, £5. Thank you so much. A small contribution towards the work that you do. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. What the judge did say, she said about Graeme that he was honest and frank, and also that he'd said certain things that, because one thing that Graeme said to this guy when he got annoyed was he was a sissy porn watching scumbag. And then Graeme did say in court that he regretted saying that because he has no evidence for it. It may well be the case, but there's no evidence for it. And he did say, yeah, I regret saying that for those reasons. And the judge went like, okay, he wasn't trying to, Graeme hasn't been trying to mislead the court, said Graeme was frank, honest, and credible. What the judge said about Tarquin, Sophia, was very different. Now, and this is all in very measured legal language. So the judge didn't say, I think you're a lying scumbag, because that's not the kind of language they use. There were parts of Tarquin's evidence that the judge did believe, but other parts that the judge didn't. And misgendering the judge. I was in court, I should know better. The judge said that it wasn't entirely truthful. Somebody just said the court said Graeme was frank, not frank as in the name Frank, not Frank Sinatra frank as in honest. And Pie Worker says, late to the party, lovely Menno. Hi there. I don't feel so lovely at the moment. I'm a bit stressed, but there we go. And Susan says, sorry, I'm too scared to chip in. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's lovely to have you here. So I actually had the ruling up, but then I launched my browser, so I've lost it all. But basically, the judge was saying in nice legal language that Tarquin had been talking shit for some of it. And that's on record now. So there was some TRA who goes by Mux Wolf, because he thinks he's... What does Mux stand for again? Whatever. Not man, not woman, whatever. He's a bloke. Making a meal out of the fact that Graeme Linhan now has a criminal record. And it's like, for chucking a phone. But Graeme is appealing that, by the way. So who knows? I don't know on what grounds. Because if you take someone's stuff and then you chuck it and it causes criminal damage, which the judge believed it did, then you need to argue that you had a lawful reason to do it. Now, I think initially Graeme said it was a reflex. Obviously, that didn't fly with the judge, so I don't know if they're going to try that again. But who knows? He says he's going to appeal, so that'll be interesting. Impossible Angel said, you get a criminal record for that. I don't know. But it's interesting that this particular TRA made such a meal out of that when a friend who was there with Mr. Brooks has a criminal record for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old. This is years ago, but obviously that's a criminal record. So chucking a phone, oh my God, criminal record. But this other bloke who was set there in the gallery with Tarquin, apparently as his advisor, because they were constantly going. And then this is another quite an unsavory character who obviously is no stranger to vexatious, well, that's how it appears to me, legal action against various people. Graeme Linhan being one of his targets, Caroline Farrow being another. And obviously then there's Lindsay Watson, also a man who thinks he's a woman, and he keeps going after people left, right, and center. So there's a bit of a pattern here. And neither of these people are really the kind of people you want to mix with, right? So what about, Mr. Brooks's parents, right? Because when this happened, he was only 17. When he started hanging around Let Women Speak, he was only 15. Where are the parents in this? And why are they happy for their, at the time, 15, 16-year-old to hang out with a man who's got a criminal conviction like that, with Fred Wallace, who we all know is also one of these men of the magical lady fields, and pretty vile, and sending pornographic pictures to a disabled woman who's campaigning for single-sex spaces. I mean, you've got him, then you've got Mr. Hayden, and then you've got Mr. Watson, and somehow this guy is involved with these. Jakub, I hope I said that right. You say, hello, Mr. Menno, you're a great bloke. You're my inspiration in my gay, gender-critical journey. Well, thank you very much for that. And I can see you're giving me boom, PLN 29.99. I have no, is that Polish? Thank you very much. And if that is Polish, then dziękuję. Dusty says the trans mafia. It is. And, how did they get in touch with a teenager and get him to do, I mean, this is just something that I'm assuming now, speculating on, getting to do their dirty work, really. I mean, Fred posted a blog post about going to London for Battle of the Ideas and the LGBT Alliance conference last year, and there were pictures of him and Tarquin having drinks and meeting up. This is dark. This just strikes me as something that's really dark and really sinister, and we don't know the half of it. Oh, thank you, Joey, for your $5 American. Guys, I'm going to put all this towards my trip to Glasgow next week. I'm going to go to Glasgow to interview a gay male detransitioner. I didn't want to do it online because he's kind of new in terms of, on the scene and speaking out. And I thought it'd be better and more sensitive to do it face to face. So I booked a flight to go to Glasgow. I'm lucky that I can stay with a friend, so saving some money there, and also using my friend's space to do the filming. So I think these things are so much better face to face. So I'll be there next week, but I'm only staying one night because, I have to go back. Oh, so much to do. So the first time that I met Tarquin, I think it's 2022. He was on his bicycle, kind of circling around Let Women Speak. And then some women were talking to him. They stopped him, or he stopped and they talked to him. And then I thought, I'll just have a look. And when he saw me, he went, oh, Mr. Menno, I'm such a big fan of yours, or something stupid like that. It sounded totally fake. He's like, I love your videos. And I just went, okay, which one's your favorite? And he went, he didn't know. And a few months later, there was a protest. Women were protesting at the Hampstead Heath pond, at the ladies' pond, because obviously it's mixed. It's still mixed. They now have got a stupid consultation going, oh, should we keep it mixed or not? And it's like, hello, we've got a Supreme Court ruling, so sex matters is on the case of legal action. And he showed up there in a skirt and women's clothes and a suffragette flag around his neck, one of Kelly J's merchandise items. So he was suddenly saying, oh, I'm a detransitioner. He was pretending he was female. And then a few weeks after, he attended the Let Women Speak summer picnic. So I was there. It was a lovely day, actually, a lovely afternoon. And he showed up and he's like, yeah, I'm a detransitioner. I'm female. I've been on testosterone. And I wasn't buying it. I was not buying it. Something just felt really off about this guy. But if you have somebody showing up who says, I'm a detransitioner, naturally, a lot of us will feel sympathy. Mirjam de Graaf, thank you so much. Hartstikke bedankt for your 22 euros. Have a good one in Glasgow. Thank you very much. You know, this is really helpful, guys. That helps me cover the flight. I asked him some questions about the effects of testosterone. You know, I thought I'll just indulge him a little bit, right? And I was sort of looking at the Adam's apple, and I'm like, did that really? Are you a female on testosterone? I don't think so. I was listening to his voice, and I just asked him a few, specific questions about transitioning, and then his answers were a bit shit, and I just thought, nah, don't trust him. And others that were there, they didn't trust it either. But I do think he got some information by people who maybe did fall for it, because shortly after I started getting nuisance calls, and I think he was behind it. I don't have any proof of that, but they were quite bizarre phone calls where they would say, oh, we're phoning about we're from the NHS, we're phoning for about your upcoming, appointment. And I'd be like, what appointment? Oh, we can't see that here. We can't see that information on the screen, but we just wanted to call you. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a bit weird. You know that I'm coming in for an appointment, but you don't know what for and what date is the appointment and where, oh, sorry, we don't have that information. So dodgy as fuck. And then they said, yeah, we just want to check some information on your file about your gender identity. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And they said that, because what we have on record is that your gender identity is, and then they used a Dutch word, two Dutch words. So this is all to show, one, we've got your number. Two, we know you're Dutch. We know who you are. We know where to find you. Again, it's that kind of thing. It's that trying to intimidate you. And I don't even want to say what those two words are because they're so vile. So there are two words. One is for a disease, and the other is a racial slur. In Dutch, both of them. So they combined that and said that apparently I had entered this as my gender identity on some kind of form. And then I was like, is that what it says? And they were like, yeah. And we're going to close your file or delete your file from the system because it's racist and it's this and it's that. And I was like, okay, well, good luck with that. So obviously that was just a prank call. But then the calls kept coming. And the thing is, I never answer my phone unless I know who it is. Like earlier with my friend. I saw it was him, so I picked up. This was just one time where I don't know. I picked it up. And then every time it was an unknown number. Like they would phone like 10 times in an hour or something, and they just kept phoning. So then what I started doing, I would just answer it and go, "Hi," and they're like, "Is this Menno?" And they're trying to say my surname, and they never knew how to pronounce that. And I would just go, "Oh, just one sec. I'll be back. I'll be back in a sec. Just hold on one moment." And then I just walk away, and they'd be like, "Hello, hello." And I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hello, hello. And I just go and do something else, cook dinner or something. So after a while, they go bored, because then they would start making cat noises. I think it wasn't always the same person. Maybe there was more than one person. Sometimes it's just stupid, and they start going meow, meow, meow. And it's like, oh, whatever. Anyway, they got bored of it. I think he was behind that. I wouldn't put it past him. So then one day it was the 26th of March, a Sunday in 2023. It was a really rainy, sort of gray day. I went to Let Women Speak because it was like one of the last Sunday of the month. And there was a crowd of TRAs. This time we weren't at the Reformistry. We were back at the actual speaker's corner. And women were there speaking. There was a whole bunch of TRAs surrounding them, making noise. This is before the police sort of stepped in. They're just being obnoxious. And I arrived, and I was just taking some video footage just to capture the scene. I didn't really have a plan. It wasn't like I'm going to make a video of this event. I just thought, I'm here, I'm witnessing this. Right, let's get it recorded. And he was there, still posing as a detransitioner. And it wasn't until I got home and reviewed the footage that I saw him with the TRAs. He was actually standing there with the TRAs having a little chat. And then he saw me, and he saw that I was filming. So he looked over his shoulder. And that's a screenshot. I took a screenshot of that, and I've put that on Twitter in a long thread I did about the guy. And that's the one that sort of people have been using online. And in fact, today I got a message from BBC News, because they were like, we want to use this still. Is that from your footage? And I said, yes. They're like, can we use it? I'm like, go for it. By the way, I'll send you the entire footage. So they've got that now. So they might use that. Hurrah. Impossible Agent says, oh, can you put it up? I've put it, it's a long thread I put on Twitter last year. If you just look for on my timeline or my page and just look for the word stalking, because I say something like, this is the guy who's been stalking Let Women Speak, something along those lines. There's a big thread about him there. But on the day, like, there was that crowd being obnoxious. And then when the event had finished, there were a few of us left, and I was there with Alex and Alpha Patrie and some others. And then Tarquin comes up to me and goes, oh, Menno, I've just been assaulted. I've been assaulted. And I was like, really? And then one of his TRA friends was walking next to him with blue and pink hair and lots of piercings in his face. Like, where's a strong magnet when you need one? And I'm like, are you with him? No, we don't know each other. Lies. Because there's footage of them together another time. And basically, so myself, Alex, and Alpha Patrie and Tarquin, we then walked up together, and the TRAs started to follow us, right? So it was the four of us and then a whole bunch of TRAs, and they're making noise and they're being loud and they're chanting various mantras. Now, there was police there, I remember now, and the police initially followed us just a little bit, but then the police, and it's like, okay, it felt like it was going to get a bit hairy. But the police were sort of in the distance, keeping an eye on us, and we're like, okay, we should be all right. So we're walking down this path, and the TRAs are following us. And then Tarquin turns around to face the TRAs. He's got a big adult human female flag because he's posing as a TRA. So he's holding it up. He's actually giving them the middle finger, and he's shouting some stuff, trans women are men, or something like that. You know, the stuff that we would say, because here he's identifying as a TERF, and he's trying to play the game. And again, I'm looking at him thinking, that's not what we do. So him doing that again made me think, really? We sort of came to a standstill. I think the police were still sort of not too far from us. And then suddenly the police left. And we're like, uh-oh. Catherine Harvey asks, Mr. Menno, can I ask where you're from? Your accent is quite noticeable. Oh, thank you. I'm Dutch. I'm from the Netherlands. Peppermint Patty, £20. Thank you very much. Let's get Menno to Glasgow. Let's get Menno to Glasgow. He's nearly at Gretna Green. He's nearly there. Thank you so much, Patty. And somebody says that apparently it's buffering sometimes, but it's okay now. All right. Yeah, all this technology, eh? So then suddenly the police just disappeared. They just left. And then it got a bit like, uh-oh, what's going to happen now? So again, it's just the four of us, Alva, Petrie, Alex, myself, and Tarquin. And then we walked away. And then the TRs followed us. And then they surrounded us. And it was just the four of us surrounded by these mad people with their noise and their screams. That's when the police came back. And let us leave safely, basically. They kept the TRAs where they were so we could leave. And Tarquin came with us. And again, I've got loads of footage of this. All of this was pretense. You know, all his TRA buddies knew that he was, what he was doing. This is all fake. So for the judge to go, yeah, I don't really believe what you're saying, I'm not surprised. He was an arrogant little shit in court. Like, he's got all these different Twitter accounts going, and he was asked, how many have you got? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Well, how many? Well, he doesn't talk like this. It's a bit more posh. Pretending that he doesn't know. There were about 4 points that the judge put in her ruling where she's like, yeah, I'm not buying this, I'm not buying that, and the other things, I'm not buying it. Impossible Angel says it's not even a clever move, a bizarre plant. You know what? It was just ridiculous, the whole thing. And then I got home. That's when I reviewed the footage, and that's when I saw him interacting with his buddies before and quickly ducking away when he saw me coming around the corner with my camera. Anyways, Mr. Brooks has released a statement of sorts, saying that he's glad that Graeme was found guilty of criminal damage, and now he just wants to move on with his life and please grant me privacy. And it's like, oh, really? Really? Privacy? He's 18 now. He's shown up in court for not being truthful. That's on record now. That's in the ruling. So that's not going to do him any favors. If he tries to pull one on someone else again, we can just refer back to that ruling and go, don't believe what this guy says. In fact, don't give him the time of day. And as for privacy, he's the one going after people. He's the one standing outside the LGBT Alliance screaming things at attendees. At one point, Venezuelan was having a smoke outside and he called her a fascist. It's like he's the one stalking, if you like, harassing people. And he does it in such a way that he kind of just gets away with it. That's something that Graeme said in court as well. He's quite clever the way he goes about it. Dusty, thank you so much for your £10 for the Glasgow trip. Thank you. Because yes, there's flight. The flight wasn't bad. But then there's trains, maybe taxis. I might be able to get a lift. Who knows? Anyway, I'll try and do it on the cheap. Natalie says, it happened in the space of about 8 months. Previously, I had never noticed any men being in the ladies. Oh, that might be about something else. Changeling says, yeah, he'll be at more meetings sticking his phone in people's faces. Privacy, privacy. Oh, my, but this is the thing, right? He's only 18. How do you get to be like this when you're only 18? Is there any hope for someone like him? Like, you'd like to think that somebody would have a bit of a chat with the guy and he comes to his senses, but he's in with a bunch of weirdos, and he's on estrogen. That doesn't help. Another thing he did, I think, is he created some kind of sock account on Twitter, then DM'd me from there, pretending to be one of his classmates and trying to, he was saying, oh, I can give you information about this guy, or stupid stuff like that. It's like, again, trying to win my trust. It's like, how do you get to be like that at that age? I don't get it. So yeah, when Graeme said he's a sociopath, yeah, I believe it. And somebody said, now Tarquin's an adult, he can't use his age as a shield anymore. Exactly. Somebody said, how do you get to pretend to be the opposite sex and hang out with perverts and sex offenders? Yeah. Moody on Rudy says, so Glinner lost the harassment from mobile stuck in his face because he was defending breaking it. No, there were two different charges. One was that he had been harassing Tarquin, and this is about messages online, on X, different posts that Graeme had made. The other charge was the damage to the phone. So the phone was damaged because Graeme chucked it, grabbed it out of his hands and chucked it on the street. So those were the two charges. And the judge said that the post that Graeme had made about this guy did not meet the threshold for criminal harassment. So he was cleared of that, but guilty of the criminal damage. And that is something that Graeme is going to appeal. Denise Smith says, watch what you say. He's probably watching. He probably is. But hey, I'm just saying what I'm thinking. What a twisted individual. I'm sure Kelly J puts a lot more fire into what she has to say about him, but there you go. Catherine Harvey says, oh, him, I've heard the name before, but I don't know much about him. Absolute piece of shit. Avoid, don't engage, don't interact. That's my advice. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to say about this. I do hope that the BBC uses my clip somewhere and that they use it, because they've changed the way that they are sort of approaching this particular topic in the last 2 weeks after that Prescott memo bombshell. They now use the terms male who identifies as a woman, I think. And what's been really interesting in the Changeling says, do you know the grounds of appeal? Well, Graeme is going to, I don't. But Graeme just said he's going to appeal. So he's going to somehow have to argue that the reason for him grabbing the phone and chucking it on the street was lawful, right? Because the judge didn't buy that it was lawful. If you look up the ruling, just go Graeme Linhan, Sophia Brooks ruling, Google that, and then there's a PDF with the ruling that will come up. And then the judge explains why she didn't believe that Graeme had a lawful reason to chuck the phone, basically. Somebody says, if Tarquin is watching, I'd just like to remind him he's an unreliable witness. Well, there were some things that the judge did buy, but others that the judge didn't. And it's good that that's in black and white in the ruling. So where was I? Right, press coverage of this ruling is interesting. Most of the headlines that I've seen are talking about Graeme Linhan and a trans activist. Okay, only the Telegraph from what I've seen, use the phrase trans woman, which is interesting because Telegraph is always, sort of smeared as the right-wing bigot newspaper, and yet they're the ones going along with this. So Telegraph, get your act together. There's no need to call these guys trans women. You can just say trans activists if you want to keep it neutral, or just say men, because they are. Right. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I think that's it. Oh no! Also, when I was in court on the Friday, he was there with Stephanie Hayden. Tamsin just says the son referred to Tarquin as she. Yeah, it'll take a while. Well, I don't know. They just have to. They don't have to, right? They have to wake up to the fact that they don't have to do that. They can just, if they want to be neutral, just like the judge, they can just use they, not in the non-binary sense. And again, that was interesting that the claimant's legal team, they obviously went for all the gender affirming stuff, she, her. But Graham's team, they used he consistently, I think, and Graeme himself as well, just like with the Sandy Peggy case. And the judge didn't want to pick a side, and also in the ruling said, I'm not here, commenting on the debate. So went for they or the claimant. And I think that's quite, that's a good way to do it. So when I was in the public gallery, he saw me there, sat behind him. And a couple of times, if there's like a break and then we all leave the public gallery, he twice, hey, Mano. Again, like, it's so childish. Like, what kind of response does he want? I just went, hey. Like, what's he expecting? Does he think that I'm going to go, oh no, he knows my name? Like, stupid. And there was a funny moment before going into court, because I showed up on the Friday morning, and then his friend or advisor, Mr. Hayden, was there, Stephanie Hayden. And a few years ago, I was reading up on how many people Hayden had gone after with legal action. And I started writing some lyrics to a Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby. The original Eleanor Rigby, da 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 da. I don't even know the original lyrics. All the lonely people, where do they all come from? That song. Jane Henderson, thank you much for your $20. Much appreciated. So I wrote some words to that, but I never did anything with it because I thought, oh, he's probably going to sue me as well then. And but anyway, so I saw him outside court, and it's quite weird when there's these people that that you've read so much about online and you've seen their pictures, and then you see them in real life. So as soon as I saw him, I just went, hey, Stephanie Hayden sits in the dark wondering what to do. Who can I sue? Oh, Stephanie Hayden, what are you gonna do when your litigation days are finally through? And he just stood there and kind of went, oh. And then Tamsin, you were there, and then there were some other people there. So I just went, okay, join in, everybody, and we just did it again. So then later on in the public gallery, I was, again, it was one of the breaks, so most people left, and I went to sit next to Sarah Phillimore. We just had a little chat, and then he just stood right there in some stupid dress, and he put it on his lady voice, and he went, "Oh, so do you do this as a hobby, or is this your career?" And it's so bizarre when you're face to face. Like, he actually tweeted about it. "Oh, I've never been serenaded outside court before," something like that. And me. And like a bloke in a dress, just looking ridiculous and putting on that fake voice. And then I'm like, okay. I just said, look, I don't know. I see something stupid. I write a song about it. Very strange moment. But also I thought, this man is a snake. He's just trying to maybe trick you into saying some things so he can go after you or whatever. So be careful what you say. Anyways, Roly Poly says, I do like Sarah Phillimore a lot. Me too. And you do meet some good people in the craziness, don't you? Changeling says, him being found as a vexatious litigant can't come soon enough or fast enough. Yeah. And CK9K says, hey, Menno, hope you're well. Have you seen that Helen Weberly woman talking nonsense in any of the many interviews she's been giving? I thought this madness was coming to an end, and she appeared. Well, she needs to find, streams of revenue. So she's off to the States and she's banging her drum about that. And I've seen the interview with Helen Joyce. Well, I listened to the interview with Helen Joyce on the, I didn't watch it, but I listened to it. And I saw part of the one with Julie Bindel, about 20 minutes, but I find Helen Weberly so utterly boring. I find her so boring to listen to, and she just comes out with crap. Then I saw there was a short one that she did on GB News, maybe about 10 minutes. And then there's another one that she did with Andrew Gold, haven't seen that yet. And another one with a bloke in the States that was released a few days ago. So she's on the case. She'll go anywhere. What I found interesting is she seems to respond to men very differently. Like, she gets really agitated when she's with men. And I did want to sort of listen to all the interviews and then pick out different moments from the different interviews and put them together to show where either she's talking absolute rubbish or where she's contradicting don't know what's going on with me tonight, where she's contradicting herself. Because there was one point in the interview in the chat with Helen Joyce where she actually said, yes, trans women are men who identify as, or something along those lines. So, but I haven't got the time to sit through all of that and sift through all of that and edit it together. Stuff, I need to prepare for the detrans interview. Also, I recorded a response to Boy George, basically saying at some kind of event on the red carpet that we had to stop talking about J.K. Rowling. So I've recorded a response to that. So I need to get that one out. And there's a few shorts I have to do from the last couple of videos. I'm doing the live stream tomorrow about the puberty blockers trial. There's another interview from January that I haven't even edited. And I need to prepare for some other stuff I want to get out before Christmas. So there's so much to do. In terms of Helen Weberly, I mean, she's finding ways to get away with what she's doing. And there was something that she mentioned. I think that was the Helen Joyce one. I can't remember. Where she basically said, okay, if we can't use blockers, we'll use other things to stop puberty. Well, she's saying it, right? It's all there. So surely there must be something that they can get her on. I hope, anyway. because she absolutely needs to be stopped. And I did think, what questions would I ask her that I feel, actually, that put that in the chat if you want, or leave a comment on the video. If you've watched any of those interviews, what question do you think hasn't been put to her? And see, one thing that I think didn't get debunked was the idea of gender identity itself, from the bits that I've seen. So, you know, it may well have been addressed, like, because she keeps banging on about gender identity this, gender identity that. Did any of the others actually? That's just like pseudo-scientific, pseudo-religious nonsense. You know, there's no evidence that it exists and that everyone has it, you know. It's like a question that I'd ask her is, so when did you realize you were a woman? Because that's the way she started that interview with Andrew Gold. He's like, tell me who you are. And she just went, well, I'm a woman. That's the first thing she said, I'm a woman. What is a woman? Well, it's tricky. It's like, but there will be, I do think, plenty of people watching that thinking, oh yeah, she's got a point. Like, people who aren't aware of this stuff, right? When she says, well, only doctors should talk about this, plenty of people might go, oh yeah, you got a point. Yeah, she's a mathematician. Yeah, she's not a doctor. What does she know? Anyways, Jay Walk says Andrew Gold did that well. I only saw 5 minutes of the Andrew Gold one. But if he did, then good for him. Okay. Someone needs to ask her how much money she is making from her business. Yeah, good point. And when she was talking to the American guy, he said, oh, your husband was struck off. And she straight away got really agitated. She's like, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk away if you keep asking about that. Anyways, oh, Ian Gibson, thank you so much for your £10. Much appreciated. Right. Well, we managed to do a live in a way you can see and hear me. So hurrah. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And tomorrow I'll do a live stream specifically about the puberty blockers. Natalie says, splendid singing, Menno. Thank you very much. Ada Gedden says you need to not know anything about biology. Exactly. It's the classic Kelly J. I'm not a vet, but I know what a dog is. Okie dokie. Right. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And I shall see you tomorrow, if you can join me tomorrow. And otherwise, another time. So ciao, ciao. And thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Ciao.